Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to talk about something that is deeply personal for a lot of people. The long-term effects of growing up in what is often called a broken home. This term can feel a bit outdated, but it generally refers to a home where parents have separated, divorced, or where there's a significant amount of conflict and instability. If this is your story, I want you to know you're not alone. And understanding these impacts is the first step toward healing and building a life you love. Let's start with emotional instability. When you grow up in an environment where things feel unpredictable, where the emotional climate can shift in an instant, it's natural to develop a certain level of emotional volatility yourself. You might find that your moods swing more intensely than others. One minute, you're fine, and the next, a small trigger can send you into a spiral of sadness or anger. This isn't a character flaw. It's often a learned response. Your young mind was trying to adapt to a chaotic environment. It's like your internal emotional thermostat never got a chance to properly calibrate because the temperature was always changing. Recognizing this pattern is huge. It means you can start learning to regulate your emotions in a new, healthier way, giving yourself the stability you didn't have back then. This leads directly into our next point. Trust issues. When the first and most fundamental relationship, the one with your parents, is fractured, it can create deep-seated difficulties with trust. If the people who were supposed to be your ultimate safe harbor weren't consistently there, or if their relationship with each other was a source of pain, how can you be expected to blindly trust others? This can manifest in a few ways. You might be overly suspicious of people's motives, always waiting for the other shoe to drop in a friendship or romantic relationship, or you might go the other way and trust too easily, desperately seeking the connection you craved as a child, only to get hurt. Building trust, both in others and in your own judgment, becomes a conscious and sometimes challenging process. It requires learning to be vulnerable in small, manageable steps. From there, it's a short leap to low self. Children often internalize their parents' problems. A child might think, if they fought so much, was it my fault? Or if one parent left, was I not good enough to make them stay? These are heavy burdens for a small child to carry, and they can shape your core beliefs about yourself well into adulthood. You might struggle with feelings of inadequacy, constantly seeking external validation to feel worthy. You might be your own harshest critic, replaying mistakes in your head and telling yourself you're not smart enough, attractive enough, or lovable enough. This inner critic is often just the echoed voice of past fears and insecurities. The journey here is about learning to silence that voice and replace it with one of self-compassion. It's about realizing that your worth is inherent and was never dependent on your family's situation. When you're constantly dealing with emotional instability, trust issues, and low self-esteem, it's no surprise that anxiety and depression can become frequent companions. Anxiety can stem from that hypervigilance you learned as a child, always scanning the environment for threats or signs of conflict. As an adult, this can translate into social anxiety, generalized anxiety, or panic attacks. You're constantly on high alert, even when there's no real danger. Depression can set in from the weight of unresolved grief, sadness, and that feeling of being fundamentally flawed. It's an exhaustion of the soul. If you're experiencing these feelings, please know that it's okay to seek help. Speaking with a therapist or a counselor can be incredibly powerful. They can provide you with tools and a safe space to process these deep-seated emotions. There is absolutely no shame in needing support. Naturally, all of this has a major impact on our ability to form and maintain healthy relationships. We learn about relationships by observing them, and if our primary model was one of conflict, distance, or breakdown, our own relationship blueprint can be skewed. You might find yourself unconsciously recreating the unhealthy dynamics you grew up with. Maybe you're drawn to partners who are emotionally unavailable, just like a parent was. Or perhaps you're the one who pushes people away when they get too close, because intimacy feels threatening. You might struggle with communication, either shutting down or becoming overly confrontational during disagreements, because you never learned how to navigate conflict constructively. Building healthy relationships requires unlearning old patterns and consciously learning new skills, like setting boundaries, communicating openly, and understanding what a truly supportive partnership looks and feels like. Behaviorally, these experiences can also pull people in one of two directions: aggression or withdrawal. Some people develop a tough, aggressive exterior as a defense mechanism. They learn that being loud, confrontational, or controlling keeps people at a distance and prevents them from getting hurt. They've built a fortress around their vulnerable core. On the other hand, some people become withdrawn and passive. They learn that the safest way to navigate the world is to be invisible, to not make waves, to not have needs. They become people pleasers, suppressing their own feelings to keep the peace, just as they might have done as a child. Both of these are survival strategies. Recognizing which one you lean towards is the first step in finding a healthier middle ground, a place where you can be assertive and authentic without being aggressive or invisible. The stress of a difficult home life can also spill over into other areas, like school. For a child or teenager, it's incredibly difficult to focus on algebra or history when your world feels like it's falling apart at home. The emotional turmoil can consume your mental energy, making it hard to concentrate, study, or complete assignments. This can lead to poor academic performance, which then reinforces feelings of low self-esteem, creating a vicious cycle. It's not about a lack of intelligence. It's about a lack of a stable, supportive foundation from which to learn and thrive. Sometimes, the school becomes the only safe place, and a student might overachieve as a way to find control and validation. But for many, the stress is simply too overwhelming. Finally, we need to talk about the increased risk for addiction. When you're carrying a heavy load of emotional pain and you don't have the tools to cope with it, it's human nature to seek an escape. For some, that escape can be found in substances, like alcohol or drugs, or in behaviors like overeating, gambling, or excessive screen time. These things can provide temporary relief, a way to numb the pain, quiet the anxiety, or feel a fleeting sense of pleasure. The danger is that they don't solve the underlying problem. They become a crutch that can quickly turn into a trap, adding a whole new layer of challenges to an already difficult situation. If you find yourself using something to numb your feelings, it's a sign that your inner self is hurting and needs attention. Reaching out for help, whether to a support group or a professional, is a sign of immense strength. I know this was a lot to take in, and it might have hit close to home for many of you. But here's the most important part. Your past does not have to be your future. Your experiences may have given you a difficult starting point, but they do not define your final destination. You survived. That alone makes you incredibly resilient. You can learn to build trust, to love yourself, to regulate your emotions, and to form the deep, meaningful connections you've always deserved. The healing journey is not a straight line, but every step you take towards understanding and self-compassion is a victory. You are capable of breaking the cycle and creating a life filled with stability, peace, and joy. Thank you so much for listening today. If this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content on healing and personal growth. Share your thoughts in the comments if you feel comfortable your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to feel less alone. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.